Good morning. This is the Eager Beaver Show.
You are listening to a True North Eager Beaver Media Podcast. The True North Eager Beaver podcasts are proudly brought to you by our founding sponsors, the Miss V Mysteries from Corvid Moon Publishing, your source for science fiction, fantasy, and cozy mysteries featuring a broad diversity of characters. CanadianTarot.com, your uniquely Canadian online eclectic tarot community and forum, and The Peppermaster, hot pepper sauces made from fresh farm ingredients to thrill your taste buds and expand your mind.
Well, good morning and hello, kids, and welcome to season 3 and episode number 247. We'll go with of the Daily Beaver Morning Show here on the Crier Media Network. Today, recording day is Wednesday, November 8th, 2023, and it's going to be a lovely day here at the Beaver Lodge. Blue skies already. In fact, can see some sunlight in the skies. A gorgeous, gorgeous light blue today. I'm your host, the Eager Beaver. Pronouns he, him, hey, Mr. Beaver A. And with me, as always, is my good friend, Mr. Grizzly. Sorry for the late delay. We had a couple of technical difficulties, had to reboot, but hey, we're with you. It's going to be a short one. I don't know if we have a word for a little less than a nibble, but that's probably what it's going to be today. Thank you to our podcast finding sponsors, the Peppermaster, the Miss V Mysteries from Corvid Moon Publishing, and CanadianTarot.com. And Mr. Grizzly, how's your mental health today, sir?
Well, sir,
Aside from that, how did you like Mrs. Lincoln?
Yeah, I'm all things being equal, I'm doing pretty good. It's the whole, it's 6:15. The computer needs to update. You know what? I've been having issues with it lately. Let's run the update and see how it works. Yeah, it took an hour and change to update. I was really not expecting that, so that kind of, that kind of ruined my morning.
Murphy showed up.
Sorry, I'm just trying to get things sorted here on my end. But it looks like we're good to go now. So yeah, yes. Other than the technical difficulties from computers deciding that everything needed to be fully updated, I'm good. Yeah, exactly.
We are experiencing technical difficulties. Please stand by.
It was very, very frustrating.
I am a very, very, very happy beaver because Eager Beaver Curling Report yesterday at the curling rink, it was the end of round 1 for our competitives team, and we absolutely had to win to be in to go up a level. And unfortunately, we were only 3 because our third is away on a lovely vacation, and we couldn't find somebody to spare. And usually, when you play against 3 against 4, you lose. We won.
Oh, awesome!
And I threw the insurance rock. Sealed the deal. Clutch.
Good.
Right here. So yeah, we're moving up from B2 to B1, folks. The news you were waiting for. Now, in real news, there's a lot going on. I have some environment stuff because the environment commissioner came out with a report saying that we're not on track to meet our our climate change targets, which the Conservatives are probably going to have a field day with. But
Of
there's
course.
a big but and asterisks on it, and a great performance by Mark Gerritsen. I shouldn't say performance because it's like, but I mean, really, on Primetime Politics, where he basically handed everybody their butts and made almost every single point we've been making on the show, including the one about the NDP going like, what the huh
Yeah.
on this. So, and I want to bring that to you, but we have limited time and I want to do it all in one show. So I'll delay that because there's so much going on. One,
Well,
Alberta.
Rachel Notley dropped a bombshell yesterday. Thanks to the Nate Parker from the Breakdown. I have the documentation.
Nate Pike, you're mixing David.
Nate Pike, sorry.
Yeah.
I
Listen,
apologies.
everything's part. Well, listen, the UCP had their convention over the course of the weekend, and the resolutions. Oh my word, so much that happened there. But essentially, the government of Alberta is no longer UCP; it's UCP TBA,
Yes,
and the de facto premier of Alberta right
is
now
David Parker.
is David Parker, and no longer Danielle Smith.
Yeah, it's not even up for debate. It's not.
All right.
It's really the thing. The other thing I wanted to discuss, which I put in the little blurb beforehand, was Skippy.
Oh, wait a minute. Well, let's finish with the
Yeah.
thing.
Oh no, just
The AHS
making
stuff.
the
Yeah,
mention.
we'll get the Skippy thing. Yeah, absolutely. Because the Nate Pike then drops the fact that somebody revealed the entire deck of how they're going to restructure AHS, and it's pretty much dismantling it completely. And then, I mean, it just kept coming out and coming out and coming out. It was like my whole Eager Beaver Twitter feed from this morning is strictly all Alberta. All Alberta. There's going to be a new elections commissioner.
And I think a new ethics commissioner as well.
Commissioner, exactly, because, well, I mean, it was the one that's there ruled that her phone call with Pulaski wasn't all that great. So, well, he's got to go. And then apparently her sitting in a box for hockey games, well, that breaks ethic violation. So they've got to go. And then in Chestermere, which is the city that is in the electoral district, that young lady we were speaking of yesterday who called her colleagues less than human and infected by some type of creature disease that made them wrong and represented the biggest challenge or threat, internal one, to Alberta. The Alberta government intends to dismiss all members of Chestermere City Council and its senior administration team following months of pushback against a province-ordered investigation.
Yeah.
They're just dismissing all members of the city council. Like that. Then Don Braid, who's had a tweet from a couple of months back saying that like Danielle Smith will have to stop when she's elected, she'll stop the silliness and be, a real leader and that type of stuff. And it was like, people are going, well, that one aged well. Put out a tweet yesterday. What the heck is Smith doing agreeing to appear with ultra-right Canada invader Tucker Carlson? Her office said she wants to promote energy policy.
Then why are they?
Yep. Oh no, she says it's a wonderful opportunity to talk to someone who has like the large. Oh, there we go. Here's the rationale from a senior source in the premier's office. Quote: She feels that with Carlson having the largest reach of any commentator in the Western world, it's an opportunity to explain to folks of his political persuasion that emissions reduction and energy development are not mutually exclusive, and it's important that conservatives lead and advocate for this position rather than do nothing. We need to win converts all over North America to Alberta's position on this. He doesn't have the largest reach of any commentator in the Western world. I mean, months ago, after he was dropped from Fox and tried that thing on Twitter, we said how in 6 weeks. The only time his numbers went up was the week that Trump himself was indicted, but his numbers just kept plummeting and plummeting and plummeting. Joe Rogan, for all intents and purpose that I know of, is the largest commentator with the largest reach. Tucker
Yes, he
Carlson's a
is
nobody
actually.
anymore since Fox cut his balls off. I mean, not only did they sack him, but they didn't want to buy out his contract. So the stuff that he's doing right now is about the only thing he can do until the election is over in the United States. He's been rendered completely irrelevant until the election's over by Fox. They actually shoved a sock in his mouth and red greened his face with duct tape. So, but yeah, Danielle Smith is going, yeah. I mean, and there was another thing about hygiene standards as well that they're going to be dropping. And then the other day, they are moving fast and breaking things. They are changing everything wholesale, and they're doing so quickly. I can't even read the news fast enough. I could, the whole deck that was leaked, I got to read about like the first 4 pages, and the next thing was out. They're literally flooding this one, but they're just like changing everything all in one shot, super fast. And the goal is to make your head spin. You can't follow any one story, because each one of these on their own would be a freaking scandal. But since you're all breathlessly chasing all of them at the same time because they're happening at the same time, none of them register. It's literally a strategy. All right. And I haven't read it all. I can't go into any details more than this. So we might have to, I mean, I almost say, I'm thinking like we might have to do something with Nate after hours and record it and have it. But it's like, there's so much, like just watch his show.
Yeah.
We probably would just be recreating his show. But
Yeah, and we don't want to do that because
no.
Nate's just an awesome dude, and we want to,
Yeah. But I
promote
mean,
him.
like if we had him on today, so about the ethics commissioner and about the elections commissioner and about the AHS and about the changing the education thing until grade
Mhm.
12 for trades, and about meeting Tucker Carlson, and about claiming the Supreme Court decision on Bill 69 means that the thing is toast, and trying to eliminate the carbon tax and trying to pick a fight on heating. Holy effing crow, man. And usurping a city council. And that's all, like in a
Mhm.
week and a half.
Yeah. It's just like, yeah. I got to show you something real
Meanwhile,
quick here.
okay, go ahead, please.
That this plays into Pierre Poilievre.
Yes.
So, you know how our show is on multiple platforms,
Right.
including Dean's Twitter feed, and I always retweet it or repost it, I guess, and retweet it on my own page as well. And I know you tend to do the same. We promote it, right? It's bigger platform.
Right.
But I just noticed that on Dean's stream. Well, let me just show you this. So this is our live stream, and when I scroll down, it says it's got a picture of a dog with an asshole, and it says your next prime minister. And I scrolled down and I said, well, a dog would do a much better job than Pierre Poilievre. However, the next federal election is in 2 years, so that pup would probably be too old at that point. I'm feeling very cheeky this morning.
That is perfect. that is perfect.
I thought you would like it. It's very meta.
Yes, but no, but that's it. That's the way. That's the direction. The misdirection. If you see Pierre with anybody else, our next prime minister, comment about the other person being next prime minister. Pierre, not Pierre. Like you don't even seem like he doesn't even rate. That is the perfect response. Every time, never fails. Drives them nuts. Because I mean, right? clearly this person clicked on the show. Clearly they know it's more centrist, more progressive, more, well, at least it's not Pierre. Whatever
Yeah,
we
no,
are, we're not Pierre,
we're not
right?
Pierre.
So like this, it puts
And
that
we
into
will call
trigger.
out hypocrisy wherever it is. We will call out crooked politicians. We will call out hypocrisy. We will call out regressive tactics and regressive policies because we are progressives. Period. Period.
Yeah, exactly. There was another one that I wish I could find it off the top of my, or remember it off the top of my head, but some person that made a comment on our YouTube page the other day and said like we wouldn't be able to survive in
Oh,
the real
I
world if
replied.
shit hit the fan.
I replied to that, eh?
Yeah,
Did you
I
see the
know. I saw it. It
replies?
was great. It was great. So it's like, yeah, you don't know us. I had another one the other day. So it's like, you, your podcast doesn't seem very popular because like he clicked on like one edition on our podcast Twitter feed that said
Mhm,
like how many people had like impressions it had that
mhm.
particular one, and it's like, and it was like 3 days after like we got our numbers to write the to prepare the proposal for the incoming advertiser. So I'm sitting
Yes.
there and it's like, I was like, I didn't even know how popular my show was three three
Yeah.
days ago. So I'm sitting there like, and I was elated with the numbers we had. So I'm sitting there, I'm thinking, it's like, oh, so this is supposed to be the part where I now, spend like 4 tweets telling you how popular my show actually is, right? No, I know the numbers and I'm good with them. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
It's
Yeah, that's just it,
right.
right? And that's what it's,
This,
every now and then I'll see somebody online say, "Oh, that's hilarious. Look at so and so." And it's usually the plebe reporter. He goes, "I got rich doing this." I'm like, "Is that something to brag about?" First off. The second thing is, I mean, we don't make any money at this at all. And on the contrary, I've spent thousands of dollars invested in equipment and technology and things to make it better. But when he brags about he got rich off this, I'm like, I don't think that's endearing to your viewers. Number one. Number two, he goes, look at the views that Dean has on this show. And I go, yeah, if you're smart, you know that we're on about 20 platforms. This is one of them.
and people watch shows over X number of hours, and there are people that discover shows and like to start from the beginning. And
It's not just about the live stream numbers. It's about the after numbers. Over the course of a month. That's the beauty of this. You can watch it whenever you want.
yeah,
Yes, it's great if you can join us for the live stream. That's awesome. We love it when you can join the chat, join the community. We realize that at 7 o'clock in the morning, people have things to do.
we have
So they
time zones.
can't
It's a big
always join
country.
the live stream.
We have people who never can.
Yes.
It's a big country. We have time zones, like lots of them.
So we understand that. It's like, so look, your live stream only had 50 viewers. And I go, wait,
Yep.
wait.
It's just like, that's, thank you for telling me you know nothing about how this works, and
Yes.
we're good.
Yeah.
But it's like, oh, I'm supposed to dance for you now, right?
Hmm.
Because
Yeah.
your numbers are not very good. It's like,
Dance, monkey boy, dance.
it's like, I'm 50.
What do I got to prove?
I got better things to do than dance for you. Thank you.
Well, something else that the individual who posted that comment that I replied to, up until that moment, that individual has been like a fan of the show and has posted super positive stuff. So I don't know where that came from, which is why when I responded, with factual information and in kind. I
Yeah.
was not rude. I was not vulgar. I didn't tell them to go to hell. I just said, well, you don't know anything about us, and here's some things about us. Try again.
Yep. Exactly. I love it.
My
Fun.
complaint about PP, though,
Yes.
Justin Trudeau sided with separatists. Oh, you won't get a single vote from Quebec now.
And
He said it more than
meanwhile,
once.
yes. And meanwhile, I don't think he's noticed. Didn't you side with the socialists?
Yes. Yeah. The socialist, left wing, extreme socialist, Marxist.
Yep.
You just buddied up with them because it furthered your cause,
Yep.
whatever the hell that is.
Yep. Trudeau sided with the separatists and you sided with the socialists, buddy. I don't think you noticed it, but that's not the flex you think it is. So, so come on, man. Again, the separatists, quote unquote, were the official opposition ones. And we survived. All right? Let's chill.
I have
can you
the
take
clip.
over? Oh,
Yeah, I
please.
have the clip here.
Okay,
Yeah.
go ahead. I'll be right back for a second.
Okay, I'll just close your camera there for a sec, sir. And here's the clip. This is Pierre Poilievre yesterday in the House of Commons. And, well, let's just watch how he loses the entire province of Quebec and how beautiful it was.
Let's just acknowledge what happened here. The NDP has flip-flopped again, right? They, for the last eight years, they've supported the Prime Minister's to quadruple the tax on home heating. And then under relentless from common sense conservatives, yesterday flip-flopped. They admitted that they were wrong all along. And then today, they flip-flopped again, saying that they never a carbon tax on home heating for some. So the coalition is reunited, and they're all three of them together now. Separatists, the socialists, Prime Minister. Madam Speaker, a costly coalition is bankrupting the people. The only solution is a common sense conservative government that will act.
Okay, that was the wrong clip. Although it was interesting, but that was the wrong clip. My apologies. Let's see if I can find it here. I thought that was it. It was not. Oh, I have you on mute. My apologies, sir. I muted you by mistake. I didn't mean to do that.
Thank you.
You're good now.
Yeah. Once again, another example of Pierre Poilievre using the House of Commons for this purpose and not for representing you.
Yes.
Like this. And gee, that clip sure didn't age well, eh?
No.
Because
Here it
now
is.
he has no problem accepting the help of the socialists.
I have the clip. And this is him bragging again. Except, oh, dude, you've lost Quebec completely and forever. Not that you ever had them, but here we go.
Panicking Prime Minister is desperate to save his carbon tax, especially on heat. And he started by giving a temporary pause to some people in a region where he was plummeting in the polls and his caucus was revolting. Then he found that the entire country was in revolt and he needed a new coalition partner to save him from my common sense confidence vote to take the tax off the heat. He got that support from the Bloc Québécois. We now learn that he's been in discussions with the Bloc to help him stay in power for 2 years.
That's a bald-faced lie to begin with, first off. That never happened. Never took place. The Bloc came out and said, we didn't have any conversation. We've never spoken to him about this.
What did he promise the separatists for them to enter into
Oh, there's the nail in your coffin, Skippy.
costly carbon tax coalition?
Contrary to the divisive rhetoric that the leader of the opposition has forward, the measures we announced on transitioning people on oil to heat pumps apply right across the country. The doubling of the rural top-up right across the country. We're going to continue to work with Canadians to phase out home heating oil, which is dirtier and more expensive. And I want to recognize we are willing to work with anyone in this House who will step up in the fight against climate change. I thank the leader of the Bloc Québécois for continuing to be firm on building a better future for all our kids, on fighting for climate change, against climate change and in other occasions. I welcome all Parliament in the fight against climate change.
He's thanking the separatists for helping him save carbon tax and support his plan to quadruple the tax, gas, and groceries. This Prime Minister is playing a very dangerous game. First, he did Canadians by giving a temporary pause to some people in a region where he was plummeting in the polls and was revolting. When all Canadians then revolted against this divisive plan, turned to the separatists who say that they are going to power for 2 years and that the leader of the bloc has had a
He's
call
literally
with the
repeating the same thing.
Prime Minister to do it. In the transparency, will the Prime Minister reveal what he promised the Senate to join in this costly carbon tax coalition?
That they won't drown to death or get blown away,
Well,
or have the earth open up underneath their feet, or burn to death. Have you missed, other than British Columbia, Quebec is the most pro-environment province in the entire country? Prime Minister didn't have to promise them anything. They were the people who were guaranteed to be on board.
They were on board right from the
They
get-go.
were on board.
So this lying piece of shit, this lying asshole, this fucking prick is lying his ass off again in our house and gets away with it. I'm so fucking fed up with this guy. And he just burned himself to the ground.
Oh, yes.
He can never be prime
He
minister.
can never be prime minister.
You cannot win without Quebec. He will never be prime minister. Never. He just confirmed it.
He's abandoned Quebec, and he's concentrating on the 905. That's where he's going.
He's not going to get them.
No, he's not going to get them, because eventually the racist stuff is going to happen.
Yeah. Yeah.
They can't help themselves.
No, he's done. He's done. He's finished. He won't be around for the next federal election. Every time somebody says he's the next prime minister, I'm like, the election's in 2 years. He won't last that long. I didn't think he was going to make it through the summer, to be honest with you.
Mm-hmm.
I thought he would have been gone by September.
Yep.
He will not be around in 2 years.
Yep. All right. We're going to have to stop the episode. Unfortunately, fortunately for us, it's a heat pump day. So.
Okay, so you've got guys there. No problem, sir. No problem.
I just wanted, actually, you know what? Before we do go, actually, we'll do it in the Easter egg, right? So, kids and cubs, that's the end of this episode of the Daily Beaver Morning Show here on the Crier Media Network. We hope that you love listening to us, because we love making this for you. We apologize for the noise. We'll do this quick, because democracy is something that you do. Northwest Territories. Your election.
We'll do it later.
Yeah, Northwest Territories.
Vote.
Yeah, vote in your election. Be a good neighbor. Get your flu shots, your COVID booster. Get that, and it's not so much a booster. XBB is like just a whole new formulation.
Mm-hmm.
So go get yours. The numbers going up.
I'm waiting for mine.
The other thing happening in Alberta is right now, emergency rooms are like declaring themselves 83% full, and it's like it's just early November. So come on, do your thing if you have to. If you want to not miss an episode, the pod page is sponsored by the Ray Girl, podpage.com/the True North Eager Beaver, lowercase letters with a hyphen between each one of those words. Our coffee page, ko-.com/eager beaver. It's really hard to concentrate at the same time.
Yeah,
so just scan the QR code there.
Let's just wrap.
True North Eager Beaver Incorporated YouTube site. Like, click, subscribe. From the Beaver Lodge, this is your Eager Beaver saying it could be a tough world out there. So please be kind to and gentle with yourself. Mr. Grizzly, some words of wisdom, please.
Yeah, stop letting lying sons of... I'm not going to insult his mother. Stop allowing lying members of parliament who we're paying for to get away with their lies. Write to them. Write to them on a piece of paper. Drop it in the mail. It won't cost you anything. And let them know how upset you are with this continued line of bullshit that they continue to spread across the country. Because I've had enough.
I hear you. All right. Mr. Grizzly, roll the credits.
You are listening to a True North Eager Beaver media podcast. The True North Eager Beaver podcasts are proudly brought to you by our founding sponsors, the Miss V Mysteries from Corvid Moon Publishing, your source for science fiction, fantasy, and cozy mysteries featuring a broad diversity of characters. CanadianTarot.com, your uniquely Canadian online eclectic tarot community and forum, and The Peppermaster, hot pepper sauces made from fresh farm ingredients to thrill your taste buds and expand your mind.
All right, kids. As Kit Linda M reminds us, if you live in Ontario, tonight is the final Ontario Liberal Party leadership debate, live streamed on their website. And since we have a little quiet moment, progressives are celebrating because in the United States, in the state of Ohio, they have enshrined abortion rights into the Constitution. So reproductive rights are now constitutionally protected, and the legalization of marijuana has taken place. In the state of Kentucky, Democrat Andy Beshear has been reelected as governor, which is good. In the state elections in Virginia, which had gone Democrat, Republican on the governor's side with Glenn Youngkin, who is sort of Trump light-ish, the Senate and the House both flipped back to the Democrats. Good news all around. All this news, all this talk that you hear, somebody was pointing out that there's like over 400 columns this week about how Justin Trudeau should step down, and only one talking about Pierre Poilievre's team following libs on TikTok or something, which is an anti-LGBT
Yes.
group. All this talk
Well,
about Justin Trudeau's got to go, Joe Biden's over, he's dead, he's got to step down, it's over, Pierre is inevitable, Trump is inevitable. These elections show
look,
that's
look,
not true.
look who joined us.
Sir, how are you? Surprise guest. How are you, my friend? I can't hear you.
Can't hear you.
Okay. He says he'll be right back. Okay.
Okay.
Oh, we didn't expect this. So
Yeah,
yeah.
big surprise.
Okay, it's the remix. All right. So yeah, all this stuff that's going on online is going on online. It's
Yeah,
not
well,
real
look at
life,
this.
right?
And they're ignoring it. The Parliamentary Press Gallery is ignoring it. Let me just blow this up so you can see it a little bit better. That was weird. It won't blow up.
Yeah, every now and then it does that for some reason. It's weird. Everything else blows up except the thing.
It's libs of TikTok. All right, let's bring Dean in here. Libs of TikTok.
Okay.
And there we go. Oh, hang on. Libs of TikTok. Not liberal.
No.
At all, by any stretch of the imagination. The anti-hate network, which received funding from Trudeau's government, is spending their time and energy policing who the Conservative leader of Canada's wife follows on Twitter. Pierre Poilievre is the extremely base dude who destroyed a journalist all while eating an apple in a viral video. No, he didn't. They're very angry that Anna Poilievre follows us, so definitely don't follow her and help her increase her follower count. And Rachel Gilmore, in case you missed it, Pierre's wife follows libs of TikTok. Libs of TikTok. The impact of libs of TikTok told through educators, healthcare providers, librarians, LGBTQ people, and institutions that have been harassed and violently threatened.
It's MGTOW all over again.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, this is what basically sums it up is Supriya. I'm going to mess up her name. So I'll just say her first name, Supriya. It's actually wild to see the Parliamentary Press Gallery seemingly actively ignore the leader of the opposition's social media activity. Newsroom leadership in this country is still operating as though it's 2005 and don't understand our info ecosystem. But shouldn't reporters get this sort of thing?
Yes, they should.
It's like they should. They absolutely should.
How many free passes does he get?
Apparently all of them.
I mean, we have like Straight Pride Eric. How many? We got the fact that he put out those pamphlets against Max Bernier. We got the fact that he said he would tell us what he would do for Pride and then never got around to us. He still ghosted us. We're still waiting.
Mm-hmm. It's never going to happen. Yeah, you got a lot of noise in the background.
Yeah, you got to talk.
Yeah, well, I can do that. I'm easy at spinning yarns at times when yarns need to be spun. Just looking through my messages here, and waiting. I just sent a message back to Dean saying, "Join us." I don't know what happened to him. There's lots of stuff rolling in right now, and I don't know I don't even know where to begin. There's so much stuff rolling in at the last second here, and it's like, wow, I can't keep up with it. Sometimes that happens. Poilievre has dug his own grave. He's dug his own grave. Here we go.
Now I'm in.
There you go. Now I can hear
You
you. Yeah, so Poilievre
son of a
dug his
bitches.
own
I love
grave.
you guys so much. I see you every morning on my feed. I see you every morning here, and I'm like, you're like a couple of blankets, warm blankets in the morning. I like to wrap myself in to get the day's news. How are we?
We're
If I was any better, I'd be
Oh.
a twin.
we're doing really well. I'm so glad you joined us. How are you?
I'm so glad to be here too. I came for the libs of TikTok conversation. I was watching you guys this morning, and I saw your title of the show. It's like Pierre Poilievre, Jesus, and I'm like, I'm on that show right now. I'm just going to invite myself. How are you guys? What are we talking?
Well, Skippy put a final nail in his coffin yesterday with the province of Quebec by
separatist
calling the
issue.
Bloc Québécois separatist like 3 times in the House of Commons.
We couldn't help notice that he sided with the socialists, though. Not exactly the.
Well, that's because he's an
idiot.
idiot. Yeah. Well, yeah.
Oh, and here's the other thing too. It's like all the provincial premiers just kind of admitted in that press conference that housing is not primarily a federal responsibility, like Trudeau said all along, because when it comes to that shit, he does not lie. Division of
it
powers
all
and what
kind
the
of falls
Constitution
apart when
says.
you start asking questions or you challenge the machine, doesn't it? Like, I found that absolutely fascinating of the whole thing when the premiers get together. So we got this housing crisis, as you point out. I watch you every morning. Love you both dearly. And we got no houses, and houses are expensive, and speculation runs rampant. And everybody's screaming at Trudeau for 2 years. We need cheaper houses. Build us houses. The provinces are like, it's his fault we don't have any houses. We got to get our friends to build our houses for us and all the other bullshit. And then when Trudeau's like, all right, I'm going to build the shit out of houses with municipalities, they're like, whoa, what are you doing? What are you doing, man? What are you doing? This doesn't hold up to the scrutiny. And then someone's like, well, listen, you asked us for help. You pressed us into it. Now we're doing it. And then they're like, yeah, but we don't like how you're doing it because the money doesn't come through us first. So we can't scheme off the top and all that stuff. And then in the end, they get very socialist, to your point, Douglas. Very socialist.
They go so far right, they end up left.
It's the best. We live in the greatest time ever. Like between that whole housing thing and then the premiers going, whoa. We didn't mean any of that. Like all the conservative premiers to Pierre Poilievre, literally the dumbest, angriest, meanest politician in the world, trying to play every side until the truth comes out in the House of Commons yesterday, where he's like, those separatists in Quebec, and he paints them all with the big brush. And listen, you can do a lot of things to the people of Quebec. Calling them all separatists, not the smartest move. I love it, boys. I love it.
And especially since the Bloc Québécois is not technically separatists, they're sovereigntists, but there's like, if it's good for Quebec, we vote for it. If it's not, we don't. And since 94% of what's good for Quebec is also good for Canada, they can afford to be the honest brokers on pretty much any subject other than something having to do specifically with Quebec, like, for example, language laws or immigration, or if somebody talks about separation at some point.
Yeah,
they can be believed. The rest of the stuff, they got their propaganda like every other party, but the rest, they have no horse in the race whatsoever.
No,
it's like he's sitting there like Blanchet is going, yeah, we're voting against this because this is dumb for the entire planet. What did you give? What did you give Blanchet to get this coalition? The guy likes to breathe.
Yeah.
He likes to go for a walk without having to do the bacon dance on the sidewalk.
The old bacon dance.
It's just he would like to be able to fly a kite without being blown away himself. I don't. He doesn't like to drown to death. He would like to keep his house.
Doesn't want to be underwater if he's like 20 feet away from the shore. Kind of doesn't like forest fires. I mean, stuff like that.
He likes housing insurance that doesn't go up by 25% a year.
Yeah, depending on where you are.
What? He's so unreasonable. He just so had to be brought
I remember the genius Ben Shapiro talking about how, if the sea levels rise a meter or 2 meters in the next 100 years, people who live along those, they're just going to sell their homes.
To who?
Yeah.
Of course, that's when the guy smashes an axe through the wall and goes, "To who, Ben? Fucking Aquaman."
But you came here for the libs of TikTok. So what have you got, my friend?
Well, I don't have any libs of TikTok, but I was thinking about it today because I saw your schedule and I'm like, okay, these guys are talking libs of TikTok. I just got off the radio with my dear friend Lachlan Cross out at 99.57 Cruise FM in Edmonton. And we're talking about the performative Tucker Carlson coming to Alberta for Danielle Smith and the UCP and the outrage, the moral outrage. And I started thinking to myself, there's really only one purpose for the extreme polls in politics. There's really only one purpose for Pierre Poilievre, one purpose for the UCP, one purpose for Take Alberta, and there's really only one reason for the libs of TikTok. All those things. It's literally, and it just dawned on me today. It's literally to troll everyone else.
Yep.
It has nothing to do with what is good for Canada. It's got nothing to do. Tucker Carlson's got nothing to do with politics in Canada. He's got everything to do with the culture war. Libs of TikTok, same thing. It's about haranguing you with the collar to like a scarlet letter of lib. Oh, you're a lib. And these words have lost their meaning. But we're interviewing a gentleman named Peter McCaffrey today with Max Fawcett from Canada's National Observer. Calls himself a libertarian. So I go through his Twitter feed, as I do, looking for evidence. And I see words like Marxist, and I see, the applaud of Tucker Carlson coming to town. I see the weaponization of these certain words. And over the past month and a half, I've had a complete change in heart when it comes to politics. There was a time there for about 6 months where I'm like, I can't even look at Twitter. I can't even be bothered to read the news. I was so dirgy. I am so excited for politics in 2023 in this country because I get it now. I get it. It had these groups, the conservatives, UCP, PPC, the extremes on the right, are only here for one reason, and that is to just piss everyone else off. And you know what? Yep. I'm here for that content because I watch the smooth brains get all upset on the left and go, "This is too dangerous for the rest of us." And you're like, well, don't you have your own opinion? Like, aren't you solid in your paradigm? Don't you know what you believe? Like, are you not good enough? Are you not entrenched in that? And they're like, but it's dangerous for me because I might change my opinion, or you don't want other people to read it. You have to look at it through the lens of one lens. It's just the only lens, boys, and I want your thoughts. It's just about getting a reaction, has nothing to do with governance or being good people. So why don't we look at it like it's wrestling at this point, fellas? Douglas, explain that to me. Or should we not be looking at everything through that lens when it comes to everything coming from that side of the ledger?
We were just talking about that. It's amazing. It's like this. You need to learn to recognize bait.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Right.
It's like, oh, yeah, there's bait. It's like, you want to go fishing. Oh, yeah. I'm supposed to dance for, oh, this is the part where I'm supposed to fall apart.
Sure.
I'm sorry. I've got better things to do. I just ain't got time. I'm sorry. It's like, oh, prove it then. Oh, yeah. That little thing that you used to ask me to prove it, you can use it to do that research yourself. My skin ain't that brown, buddy. Yeah. I'm not there to do your work for you.
I'm busy.
I'm just like,
it's amazing. It's amazing because what happens is that we get caught in this like circle jerk of weirdness, like where we're all going, well, now I got to go research because this guy wants me to go and prove how he's wrong. But the whole point of him is getting you to do that. So how about don't do that? How about don't engage with those people?
The people that engage you there, they engage you because you are making a very good point. They do not want you to be making that point because they think you're being too effective.
No.
So they comment about you or your behavior. Or
do you know how many times this week I've been called?
I dare you, or I guess you can't really
prove it.
Prove it. Like this. I guess you have that. You give it. You point to links. Like, oh, well, I guess that's just your opinion. I guess you drank the lemonade.
My favorite one is this, boys. My favorite one is this. I laugh every time someone says it because listen, I don't say anything unless I know I'm right. It's just how I am.
Right.
And so when someone will, and listen, I'll launch a beauty. Like yesterday, I launched a little quick bedhead presser. I like to do those things. Douglas, I love how you're getting into it now.
Thanks.
Bedhead presser about who to blame for the trans school issues that everybody seems to be having over kids that don't belong to them. And I said, hey, parents, That's your fault because you don't have a relationship with your child. That makes you a terrible fucking parent because you haven't educated them. You haven't let them understand the world as it exists around them. You want to kettle them. So you're just an idiot parent. Sleep on that tonight. The average response from that parent was go fuck yourself.
Yep.
You don't have any kids.
Good answer.
Like all these like attestations, right? And I'm like, oh, okay, this is so easy. Like it's just it's like taking candy from an idiot baby.
But it's like see, for me, it's like go fuck yourself. Oh well, now I understand why your kid won't tell you why they're trans.
Because that's your answer to things you don't understand. And that's literally it. Like anytime you say something with some kind of point based in some kind of fact, and you give it back to anybody who's just there to troll, your answer is cuck, pedo, groomer, you don't know, fuck
it's
you,
always the same thing.
C-word. And I'm like,
assuming tons of things about you that they can't possibly know because they have no freaking idea who you are. Like, why did you just say why stand with Israel yet? Oh fuck, you're assuming a lot. Okay, thank you.
Well, I got that last week too. It's like, what's your position on Gaza? I'm like, my position is I stand up for innocent civilians, and I'm not partaking in any kind of culture or religious war because religion is a tool of the idiots. So that's where I'm at. And everybody's like,
that is what I said from the first day.
Everybody's like, oh, you have to take a side though. And I'm like, no, I apply first principles to my life. I don't have to take a side to anything, much like I don't have to take a side to any political issue or political party because I don't subscribe to that shit. I use the ability to reason and critical thought. And I'll say to somebody, well, what do you do? And they're like, conservative.
It's like, before you have an opinion on something, stop and ask yourself, does it change or benefit your life in any way to have an opinion on that? If not, why bother? It's wasted energy. Life is precious.
I said from day one
if you want to, but do you need one?
No, you don't. What'd you say, Paulie?
I said from day one when this war began in Gaza, from day one when the war began, I said point blank, I am worried about all the innocent civilians that are going to be caught in the crossfire on both sides of the border.
Yeah.
That's my concern. It's the humanity of it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's my only position. I feel for, the poor guy running a falafel stand in Gaza somewhere, just trying to make enough money to keep a roof over his head and feed his wife and children. And all of a sudden he's blown to a million bits because of something a terrorist organization did to other innocents.
Mm-hmm. And
it's all the innocent people who have nothing to do with this who are getting hurt the most.
Yeah, and that's the only perspective that matters. Like, there's this effort out there, and listen, it feeds into the conversation that we're having, right? Which is effort out there to convince everybody of a reality, right? Yeah. To convince everybody of a certain reality, of a certain side, to get you to take that side.
Yeah.
And when someone challenges you on a political issue, gaslighting political issue, because this is all gaslighting. This is gaslighting for influence and effect. That's all it is.
Yep.
And so depending on what side of that equator you live on when it comes to what you generally believe according to your cognitive bias or according to your convictions, according to your world ideology or worldview, what happens is they'll tag into those groups, and those groups become militant on either side. And this is all we've seen, right? And when I talk to people like you, or I watch your show, and you advocate for the human beings involved and not the industry, the extremism, the radicalization, or the region, that pretty much ends any argument for any polarized group that has taken a side. Because what we don't do if we're not educated is we don't nuance, we don't get into the minutia, and we don't offer views that are common. And, as crazy as it is, because human beings are being used to tell a story, or the story belonging to which side or which group in politics, in wars, those stories are being misrepresented. Those stories are not just being misrepresented, they're being weaponized. So they're literally like, politicians, media companies are literally doing the worst work in the world by holding up pictures of these children and these women and the most disadvantaged people in politics, tent cities, and different people that have issues with drug and alcohol. They say it's a mental, it's amazing how we use human suffering, and it only happens in porn. Absolutely. We use human suffering to rubberneck, and we use human suffering to say that person did it, which is why you have to hate these people. And I don't buy that. I haven't bought that for a long time. When I watch you guys, I know you don't buy it either. I don't have a bias when it comes to human suffering. I have a bias when it comes to how people use that human suffering to drive a result. That is the most disingenuous, disgusting thing in the world. And it's easy to see who you shouldn't vote for, who you shouldn't support, who you shouldn't read when you see them do that, boys. That's my opinion.
I completely and totally agree with you. I really do. And you have this thing that's going on where they're trying to convince you of a reality that doesn't exist, and they don't want a world with nuance, you know, and we do that part. But the other part we also like to do is the keeping it real. I often say the word realpolitik. You know, it's like everybody's talking about a ceasefire right there. It's like, listen, if you want to call for a ceasefire, call for a ceasefire. Somebody's has to, for for the love of. But
Trudeau almost did, and then he walked that back. You see that?
Yeah, but
I need a that's humanitarian corridor,
humanitarian pause. But
humanitarian
let's be
pause.
honest. Hamas wants to wipe Israel off the map. Israel wants to wipe Hamas off the map.
Yeah.
Nobody's receptive to a conversation about a ceasefire. I mean, sure, you can talk about it, and you could, yes, somebody's got to call for it. But if you literally expect it to happen, it's not going to happen. And again, if we're keeping it real, right? Nations don't have friends, they have interests. Right? Foreign affairs is about positioning and power, not morality. When you are in a situation where there's a conflict and there are two belligerents and none of them are listening, going up to them and telling them you need to cease fire gets you laughed out of the room.
I got a story.
The only thing you can do, and the only thing the prime minister of a nation like Canada or the United States or Australia can do in that situation is not say the thing that gets them shut out of the room, because something may happen somewhere down the road where
that opinion
in your ear will have influence. And if you take yourself out of the game, if you lose access, you lose influence. There's nothing anybody can tell Israel or Hamas now to take them off the path that they are on. But there's stuff that we can tell Iran. Iran has said, hasn't been saying, hey, we're going to join in this or we're going to fight. And they're talking about like working with other countries to make some moves politically or in international relations, but not actually reacting. You don't want this to escalate to a regional thing. That's what people are working on. There's nobody that's going to be able to help.
No. And to your point too, Canada has interests, and which is every country does,
right?
And we don't understand those interests, but they try to base the whole thing and try to get you to take a side, which I pointed out earlier. Canada's trying to take Canada's side in this, and you're going to see, and you've seen it. And I go back to the use of imagery that we shouldn't be using to try to get people to vote a certain way, or to try to get someone to tweet something, or try to get somebody to say something, or try to curry favor in any public regard, right? And I said this the other day in a tweet, actually, where we were, because I've been asked a lot to comment on something I don't know a lot about. And to your point, I speak when I know that what I have to say isn't better left unsaid. That's just how I am. And so the only comment I've made on it really kind of echoes what you're saying. And the comment is this, is that I support Canada. But more importantly, I support a human being's right to live, right to exist, right to be free, right to safety around the world. Call me a globalist. I don't give a shit. I like this country. I understand what's at stake. I understand what our interests are at. But that doesn't matter now, because children, women, kids are dying. We saw a terrorist attack. Now we're seeing a full-blown war, and we're seeing the kettling of Palestinian civilians, innocent civilians. I watched this incredible piece that Anderson Cooper did last night with a nurse who just left, talking about how 50,000 refugees had access to 4 bathrooms and running water for 2 hours a day.
Right.
You had people who had just had fresh amputations, kids with burns running around in E. coli puddles, and she said it was Armageddon. And I thought to myself, that's the issue, right? That's the point here. And that was the point I was trying to make when I said I cannot and will not support any religious extremism that is used as a shield and a spear, because behind that, the soldier behind that is about interest, to your point. It's about oil. It's about land. It's about relations. It's about minerals. It's about theocracy, autocracy. It's about dictatorships. That's what this is about. It's about bad people trying to drive a personal result for their culture. And so what they've done is they've militarized and radicalized Hamas on the right. They've militarized and radicalized, you can say Zionists or whatever you want to call them, on the other side. And they've literally taken religion and used it as a cudgel and a shield to do all kinds of terrible things. Those are the terrible things we're seeing. That's the imagery. That's what that nurse on Anderson last night was talking about. She was talking about the human cost and suffering. And it's amazing how that is like number 4 on the list of things we talk about when we talk about this. We go geopolitical, we go religious, we go, armament, we go, militarized complex. We do all these things, but we never, ever, ever talk about who's being hurt and in the name of what, right?
Yeah. What's going on now on the ground, real.
And that's real.
That gets left out.
Anything but that.
That's what gets left out the most.
horrible.
And it's the humanity at the core of it that is suffering. And again, it's all because of somebody else's vested interest. And again, like I said earlier, just thinking of, they blew up, 4 universities last week? 4? So higher education in Gaza, done. It's over. How many students were killed in that? I don't know. I don't know the numbers. But it's, again, people just trying to better their lives, just living from day to day, blown to smithereens. And it's going on both sides of that border. And it's all the innocents that I'm concerned for. And like you said, Dean, it's somebody else with a vested interest, whether it's a theocracy or mineral rights or oil or land, or they don't care about the people.
No.
And we have that same thing here in this country with the extreme right wing, the Reform Party that calls themselves conservatives. They don't give a damn about us. They don't.
No.
Look what Danielle Smith is doing in Alberta to healthcare.
Oh yeah, privatizing.
And now she's having Tucker Carlson.
Yeah, let's increase wait times. Let's charge people to be healthy. Let's charge people to get blood work. Let's charge people upcharge. And listen, I'm a big fan actually of a 2-tiered system. This is going to be a very unpopular thing, but a 2-tiered system that you really have to pay for, right? So it doesn't take resources away from that. But again, picking industry over humanity. Show me a party and I'll vote for that party that does the opposite. That's who I want. And let's get some first principles here, for fuck's sakes. Like, I'm so tired of the same shit. I'm so tired of being funneled into 2 streams of things that we have to take a side on or things we don't. Let's get some people that actually care about human beings. That's the party I'm going to vote for. We'll call it the Douglas Party.
Beaver party. Yay.
I just wanted to pop in and say hi, guys. Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it. Sorry for bombing in here. You both look smashing this morning, by the way. You look great.
It was like the remix for us because we were literally about to sign off when you popped in. So it was like, hey.
Oh, okay. Well, I'll get out of here. I'm sorry,
This is all
boys.
part of the Easter egg, actually. The Easter egg is probably longer than the show.
Oh, excuse me.
It's okay.
Don't worry, darling. It was fabulous.
Have a great day, guys. I'll talk to you soon.
You too. See you soon.
Wow, what a surprise. Love it. Love it. Love it. Love it.
That was awesome.
You never know who's
All right,
dropping at the Beaver Lodge.
You never know. You never know. Everybody is welcome. Remember, I got to go, folks.
Kind to and gentle with yourselves.